Sean Hannity, it's seen here looking like a thumb in a wig, wearing his red tie to distance himself from the Proud Boys colors that Trump is flying these days, I suppose, for legal reasons. Also known as client number 3 of Michael Cohen's. Now, what Sean Hannity needed a fixer like Michael Cohen for, basically who would muscle people and make problems go away. Here's what I'll say. We'll find out one day. One of these days, we're going to find out. We're going to find out the extent of the, I think it'll be well before a deathbed confession by anybody. We're going to find out why he was client number 3 and what exactly he needed Michael Cohen to fix for him. Now, Michael Cohen was a lawyer at the time and can't say. But in a situation like that, there are a lot of moving parts besides the client and the lawyer. Hence the need for a fixer, if you get my meaning. Yeah. And I'm going to guess it's in the ballpark of Bill O'Reilly's issues, if you know what I'm saying. That'd be my personal guess on this. And that's not pretty. Okay, so anyways, here's Sean Hannity. He interviewed Trump. Trump is, in the little piece that I saw of this, I haven't seen the whole thing, but in the little piece that I saw that is fairly manic. So this happened early in the day when he'd gotten his first rail of Adderall, and he was grinding on this. It may have been in the middle of the night after the Harris rally too, because he was up all night just railing about that shit too. Although I feel like when he gets on a tear, he sends out these things and his staff puts them into the feed for Truth Social, and they do one of those like schedule it for later so that it's just like constant shit's coming out. It's not based on when he's awake or asleep. But the reality is he absolutely could be a fucking wreck right now. Anyway. Also, this bullshit too. Every day is election day. No, every day is voting day, you dipshit.
You can do yourself. Get the right parts at the right price with eBay Motors.
That's my old car. I miss it.
All right, we are just 7 days away from election night, although every day is election day. Until then, because...
No, it isn't. No, it isn't, asshat. Every day is voting day until then. You vote till then. It's not election day. The election day is the last day of voting. You dum-dum. This is lazy. What do you mean? What they're trying to do is complain about people having too many opportunities to vote.
If there's voting in America, it's election day. Earlier today, I sat down with former President Trump for...
No, if there's voting in America, early voting has started. It's not election day. There's a difference between the voting part and the getting elected part. Don't believe me? Go watch, shit, what could you watch? How about go watch what happened on January 6th. That's technically election day because that's the day they certify the Electoral College when the president is officially the president. Even though they've been certified until the Congress passes that, because the Electoral College is how we pick our president. That's fucking election day, dum-dum.
An exclusive interview. Here's part 1 of that interview.
By the way, here's part 1 of that interview. Like, you could do the fucking left side drift. He does it every fucking shot now. He's so over this bullshit.
Mr. President, great. Thank you. This will be, we're 1 week from today's election day.
Also, wait a minute. Sean Hannity is 6 feet tall. What the fuck is going on? Sean, I mean, I know he's a little further away, but that's not going to create a fucking camera effect. He's shrinking. That's all there is to it. I don't know if is it Ozempic and osteoporosis? What's happening? Is Trump picking smaller? Is his staff fucking with him? Is that what it is? Like they gave him the short chair? You ever come in someplace, you're in a studio or something like that, or somebody invites you over and you get the chair that's like this, and you're like, why did I get this chair? It seems like, is that what they're doing? Did Sean Hannity, hey man, did you give Trump the little chair, you asshole? Good for you.
Last interview I will ever have with you as a candidate.
Mm-hmm. And next, you will be interviewing him as a defendant.
I'm sure you're probably not thinking about that yet.
Well, not really, but it's a little bit sad. We've been together a long time as a candidate. Now we can be together maybe toward making America great again.
What? Why would you be sad about your final campaign in that regard? Campaigning's the worst of politics. It's not the best of politics. This is it. You're not going to call me Mr. Ex-President Trump candidate anymore. You won't even have to talk to me after this.
We have to do that.
You know, it is amazing.
Jesus. Look how fucking orange he is. Is he going as a pumpkin for Halloween? The fuck? I haven't seen a face that orange without a handle and candy in it.
With 1 week to go, how are you feeling about the race?
Feeling about the race? He can barely sit in the chair.
I think we're leading in every state, every swing
No, you're not. I don't care what you think. You're not.
state. I think we're even picking up maybe some states that traditionally don't go Republican.
No, you are not.
People want to see change. They don't want to have borders where murderers are being released into our country, and many others, drug dealers, where jails are being emptied out into our country. I happen to think it's...
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, in case you're just joining us. According to fresh reports from former Trump FBI informants, Guatemala has set up a giant water slide right out of their prison that ends in El Paso, and they even put in a really big, like a wave pool, and a nacho stand, and a Slurpee machine, and like all the hot dogs, everything you can get at a water park and stuff like that. And so they're just like instead of giving people the death penalty, they set them up. They're sitting in the chair. They give them the last rites. They give them a chance to make some final words. And then instead of injecting them with, a lethal injection or electrocuting them, the chair goes clunk like this, and they go whee, and then they just dump straight. It's like a 800-mile tube. Just woo, and then sploosh right in El Paso, and then they're given a welfare check, pre-printed. I think it right in their own name, and a cell phone, and an apartment, and a list of potential victims.
The biggest issue.
It's exactly. It's like Running Man, only wet.
I think inflation would be second to horrible inflation and economy.
No, we don't. Actually, we just got really good news on the economy again, and you can't pretend there wasn't a recovery. Fuck you.
I mean, the economy went bad because of inflation. We had no inflation whatsoever. We had a great...
No, the economy hit its rough patch because we were in a fucking worldwide pandemic. Does anybody recall that? Are we all just taking crazy, but we're just going to pretend COVID didn't happen? That things were, that his last year in office was just fucking smooth sailing. There's like some couple people had the sniffles and the stock market went up. Is that the story we're going to tell? While we're at it, why don't we just continue to blame Obama for how many people, got on food stamps in the first year of his presidency, without ever bringing up the crash of 2008. Why don't we do that too? Oh wait, they do.
Economy, maybe the best ever. I think the best economy.
No, it wasn't.
Anyone's ever had. And when you see what's happened to our country, it's very sad. But
is it? By the way, I want to send condolences out to Trump and everyone around him, because I don't know if you know this, but New York's a very dangerous place. People, it's very dangerous. It's scary. I mean, it's hell. It's like it's like Snake Plissken's playground. There are people coming up out of the manhole covers that are clearly Broadway actors, that are lucky to get a film job, and walk like they're in a Thriller video, and everyone gets. If you try to buy something at CVS, it's locked, but you still get stabbed. The anything you want, hairspray, drugs, Q-tips, all behind, the locked guy. But butcher knives, they hand them out on the street. So New York, very dangerous, very dangerous. I know you're thinking, New York was very dangerous in the 70s. No, worse. Also the 80s. Like the 90s as well. Huge spike in murders. No, not even close. It's much more insidious. Now, I believe the quote from this man is, you can't walk down the street without being raped and murdered. I suppose he means in that order, but I don't think he's making a distinction. Probably not. So I would like to give my condolences to every family member of every person who showed up at Trump's MAGA Reich rally at Madison Square Garden, because obviously they didn't make it home. Obviously, even if they did, it was like the Warriors. They were, trying to catch a train while being chased by the baseball furies. They couldn't get a slice of pizza. Many of them starved to death, waiting for, waiting for the paramedics. So, all the people in that, and I don't know why. I agree with you. I don't know why Trump would invite all of them to New York just to get murdered. Great, Dana. Now Dana in the chat room's been murdered because you went to buy bread. Yeah, thanks, Joe Biden. I gotta say, as Get Out the Vote campaign apparati goes, inviting everyone to be murdered I'm just gonna say it's a bad move. I'm just gonna say it. Subscribe. Okay, here we go. Or don't.
When you see what they're allowing to come into our country and kill people, I've just randomly killed so many people. Young girls are dying left and right.
Left and right. Just that. Yeah, they're all over the place. Just it's a slaughterhouse. It's like we live in the United States of Friday the 13th, Part 2. Because that's when it really started to pick up speed. Let's be honest. The United States of Saw. At some point, when are the people in Trump's crowd going to stop chanting USA and start chanting SAW? All right. I'll see if I can bring this sound up a little bit on this.
We can't let this happen. I think it's the most important issue. And we're talking about by the thousands. They're coming in by the hundreds of thousands and even the millions. And
and even the trillions, even the bazillions. We got a bazillion murderers. Believe it or don't. And now you can't even. The weird thing is that they're not even, they haven't even started killing yet. Now it's just crowded.
So they have 21 million people released into our country.
No, they don't. Made up number. Fuck you. It's about 10.3, which is lower than it has been. It's so weird how they think people get into the country and they just live forever. It's always a stack. That's the thing about immigrants, man. They never pass away or go home. They always stay and live forever. They just get stronger and more muscly every day. They get those big cantaloupe calves and those big veins in their necks, and they go for, eventually you just get tired of picking strawberries. You got to stab a teenager. It's just it's the natural order of things. It's in their genes, right, dum-dum? This motherfucker.
A ridiculous open border policy of Kamala.
Yeah, we don't have a open border policy, and even if we do, can I just say, why would the Customs and Border Patrol, which apparently who love him very much, let it happen? Right?
You have to blame her because she was put in charge of the border by Biden, who went to sleep at 4 o'clock.
No, she was in charge of the source of the migration, talking to the countries in South America specifically where they were coming from and organizing a way to, to slow that traffic. And guess what? It slowed down. It fucking worked. Jesus Christ. It's like saying she's the Band-Aid czar when she was the nutritionist.
And she's done a horrible job. And by the way, I think it's very important for your listeners to know that the Border Patrol...
Listeners? Listeners. He's on Sean Hannity's show. You're not on the radio, you dumb motherfucker. Do you even know what the guy across from you does for a fucking living? Let me remind you. He opens his mouth and holds your balls everywhere you go like he's a fucking pelican. What are you talking about? Listeners. But by the way, Trump, I don't know if you know this, he screws up seeing and hearing all the time.
I think people saw that loud and clear.
See what I mean?
Endorsed me powerfully and said she was horrible.
They so powerfully. They all had erections. It was so powerful in my. And they were curling 80-pound weights and just spanking it with the other hand while doing Elon Musk's nerd battle cry. It's like the first guy out the door in the auditions to play Bobcat Goldthwait in a biopic. Next.
Said I was the best ever and that she is the worst ever. So it shouldn't be that much of a choice.
I'm sorry. They said you were the... Sorry, Hank. They said you were the best ever and she was the worst ever. Did this endorsement take place in a middle school, you fucking twerp? Said I was like totally cool and you're like, you drool. Okay. Okay. They like said I was awesome and you're like, you like stink. You suck. Thank you very much. You're watching the House Sparks. Shit. House Sparks. The name is something normal. House Sparks. Mega worldwide. Subscribe.
She, in her own words, and this has frustrated me in the campaign, the media has covered for her, Yeah.
Look, nothing that Kamala could say could be worse than you giving yourself the big chair and using AI to shrink Trump down smaller every time you cut to the wide shot. I think it's a dick move personally.
An extension of her press office. She has said in her own words she wants to decriminalize illegal immigration.
No, she hasn't. No, she hasn't, you dumb fuck. It's just that you don't automatically get a criminal record by crossing the border, because if it turns out you were trying to seek asylum, you shouldn't anyways. That's not the point. You don't automatically get that part of it. Also, if you want to go back to, if you want to know somebody who actually did decriminalize, wait for it, motherfucker. Do you know who did decriminalize border crossings? You know who actually fucking did that? Him. By instituting Title 42. Under Title 8, if you cross the border illegally, when you're adjudicated, that goes on your record. And if you're not cleared for some huge reason, like you were running from a fucking pack of wolves and you crossed the border accidentally to save yourself and you didn't even realize you're just in the middle of the fucking desert and now you're in America, but the wolves stop at the line or something because they're Mexican cartel wolves, and they've been trained very well, and they're on those little shock collars, something like that. Whatever the reason is, you've technically crossed into the United States, but you're trying to save your own life by running from the wolves, so therefore you're not committing a crime, you're just trying to save your life. That is a higher standard. In Trump's America, the idea is what Sean Hannity is saying is that you should automatically be a criminal for that situation, right? If you are desperate and you cross the border illegally, even if you have a good reason to. What she's saying is that's not an automatic thing. You adjudicate these people. You give them a hearing at the very least. Most people get kicked out anyways, but in some cases people would. So it's not a blanket policy, nor should it be. But on top of that, Title 42 specifically decriminalized border crossing. You know why? Because if you come across the border, they don't put you through the process at all. They just kick you out, and it doesn't go on your permanent record. And if you come back through 10 times, it doesn't matter. That's how we got this fucking conveyor belt of drugs and people at the fucking southern border. It was Title 42. This motherfucker, he set up the cartels and put them in business. You know how they always say that Obama is the founder of ISIS, because it started while he was president, and we were busy dealing with Al-Qaeda, and so they took over territory. So you're like, by moving Al-Qaeda out of the way, these folks moved in, that horse shit. Okay, that can actually be said about Donald Trump and the cartel business model that's on our southern border right fucking now. Because that's what Title 42 does. It takes the legal process out, kicks people out, and it does not ding their record. They don't even bother to process them. They don't, nothing. They just, okay, you're bye. Because if they fingerprint people and they photograph them and do all that kind of shit and put a record, then that starts a legal process. So they don't even bother to do it. They just go bye, kick you right back out. Well, the next time, first time that person came through, they paid $8,000 to $10,000 to cross the border. The next time, they're carrying drugs. See how that works? Okay. Sean Hannity's a dickhead. This is nonsense. I don't know why anybody doesn't bring this up. Why I feel alone in this. It's super fucking obvious.
Food, housing, healthcare, education. Her running mate, legal drivers.
Yeah, what kind of Jesus bullshit is this?
Licenses for illegals. Free.
No. You don't get free driver's licenses for illegals. Does my hair cover my nipple? Of course it does. But I trimmed a little bit off the end of it, and it's up in a ponytail, so cut me some slack. You can get a driver's license in this country if you have a work permit. Then, for fuck's sake, even like Americans, and if they are, driver's licenses are a local thing. If they're getting them from Texas, Texas is giving them.
Taxpayer-funded college, free sex change surgeries.
Okay, fuck you. Also, what he means is taxpayer-funded college education. He's talking about DACA. Because under DACA, children that were brought here by their parents during a specific window, by the way, a long time ago, now have the right, because they've aged up and they're not from their original country. They're from here. They grew up here. They don't oftentimes speak even the language of their native country, can get into a local community college the same way anybody else can, because the idea is that they're going to be citizens because they were children when they were brought here. They brought here like 6 years old. It's not that, and they've lived here for fucking 15 years.
Correct. And defund the police. And defund the police. Don't forget, she was one of the leaders of defund the police. That means it's in.
No, she wasn't. She was one of the leaders of funding mental health care services, so that when people are having a mental health episode, that you have an alternative to incarceration or dealing with them, violence on violence. That doesn't mean you're defunding the cops. That's extra funding. It's not a zero-sum game.
Her psyche, defunding the police. We have to do the opposite. We have
he literally has trouble coming up with the word thinking or philosophy. I think that's what he was trying to say. Literally, he was trying to say it's her philosophy.
And defund the police. Don't forget, she was one of the leaders of defund the police. That means it's in her psyche. Defund.
In her psyche.
The police. We have to do the opposite. We have to let the police do their job.
That's not the opposite of letting the police do their job. I guess defunding the police would be funding the police, which they're already being funded, So what's the opposite of defund? Overfund? You're such a weirdo.
You can't take away their house and their pension and their family and everything else if they are
If they
a little bit more aggressive. We have
okay, deal. No cop in this country has ever gotten in trouble for being, quote, a little bit more aggressive. Not a one. 9 months of kneeling on, 9 minutes of kneeling on someone's neck. Listen to me, months. 9 minutes of kneeling on someone's neck when they're clearly passing away, below, underneath you, is not a little more aggressive.
country is a crime-ridden country. When they go into debate,
I love how he his brain is looking for like cesspool or something. Our country's a crime-ridden cesspool. And sometimes he'll go to dumping ground or garbage because they're really rudimentary, childish phrases. But a lot of times he can't even find the word, so he just says the word again. This guy is like a totally weird guy. He does it all the time.
department stores, and they strip the store. They strip the store, and our police are standing out there wanting to do their job, but they're told, stand down, don't touch anybody. And they're walking out with refrigerators.
Never happened. This is, by the way, this is as fucking stupid as they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people who live there. No. This is just as stupid. Cops have not been told to stand down and are standing there watching people carrying refrigerators out of completely stripped department stores. Not anywhere. Like, this motherfucker is, I don't know if he's just like hallucinating, like looting from Katrina or some shit in his head and overlapping it with, like, it's fucking weird.
And they're walking out with air conditioners.
Well, it's hot. I mean, what if? Yeah, it's hot outside. Maybe they brought it with them. You know what I mean? Maybe they got a little battery pack that's just plugged into the. You got one of those little like phone batteries, and they plug it in and just wear it. And everybody's like, oh, that's so much better. Oh yeah, it just blows right down the back of my shirt. This is fucking great. That didn't hurt your back? Nah. Well, I mean a little bit, but it's just that it keeps the sweat out of the crack of my ass. It's good.
And there's hundreds of.
They let them walk away as long as it's under $1,000.
Yeah.
No, they don't. It's just not a felony.
Well, that was her policy. Anything under $950, you don't prosecute. But really, it's much worse. They don't prosecute anyone.
Also, by the way, there's a really strong shadow on his nose in this lighting. Or he's literally missing a chunk of his face. This is such a sharp, like that's really dark. Is that a mixture of like too much orange and bad lighting? Is his nose getting more bulbous and creating sharper cut lines?
Well, the only ones they go after is me, people like me.
It literally looks like he has an 8 proboscis.
They go after Catholics. They go after, and evangelicals will be next. This is a horrible group.
What? Sorry. What are they waiting for? And just in case you've just joined us from Earth 2 and you're like, what the fuck is happening here? Yeah, the sitting president is our second of only 2 Catholic presidents, and he is a practicing pious Catholic who goes to mass regularly every weekend at the church where his child is buried in the cemetery, and he pays his respects there. Nobody's coming after Catholics, you weird asshole, except for you. This asshole is coming for Catholics. This guy's coming for your wallet.
For people, these are very dangerous people.
Mm-hmm. Or
Yeah. Wait, Sean, fix it for him. Clean this up. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to see A rudimentary lesson in turd polishing.
After, and evangelicals will be next. This is a horrible group of people. These are very dangerous people.
Mm-hmm. Or they'll use limited resources to look into moms and dads at school board meetings as potential domestic terrorists.
That's right.
They'll use, fuck you, dude. They'll use limited resources. Will they? Is that what they're doing? They're using limited resources to look at, well, fuck, I thought they were labeling them domestic terrorists, so the funding just goes through the roof. Why? What? So the complaint now is not that they're wrongly going after these parents that threatened to put car bombs in the, under the vehicles of vice principals and people on the fucking school board. That's not the problem. It's that, we've got a lot of debt. Thanks, Hannity. Jesus Christ.
We're now with the final week of this campaign.
And the final week of Trump's relevance. Kids. Now, don't get me wrong. There'll be a few dangle days afterwards where he's going to fight at it and stuff like that. But he's given up already. You can tell. He's fucking over it. He's hoping he loses soundly. He's just got to go down swinging or he won't be able to make money off maggots for the rest of his life and pay for his legal bills with them going, the sun shines out of your ass and I want an orange tan. Right? Look at Sean Hannity and look at him. He's staring at a man who, in some twisted way, he considers a friend. Sean Hannity thinks Donald Trump is his friend. Now, Donald Trump doesn't have any friends. He has sycophants and people who are psychotic supporters, like Jim Jones didn't have any friends either. But Sean Hannity thinks he might be one of Trump's real friends because of access, not because of reciprocal relationship stuff that one would expect from a normal friendship. Look at his fucking face, though.
We have two very, very different closing arguments that have emerged.
We do? What did I say? First, give me mine, because I don't remember what mine is. This is what Sean Hannity's looking at. This is the reverse angle of Sean Hannity looking into the face of power, strength, virility, machismo. IMCA. It's fun to bang, 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 bang. Bad baby. This is what Sean Hannity is looking at when he's trying his level best to pretend that he believes these things about this asshole.
Kamala's closing argument, her surrogates, Nazi, fascist, racist.
Check.
Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini.
Hold on real quick. The Hitler comparison is Trump's. His own running mate called him that. Trump had a book of Hitler speeches on his nightstand, according to his recent dead wife. Hold on one second. Why did my... Oh, my... Okay, there we go. There we go. For some reason, my headphones like disconnect and then reconnect. It's we'll figure it out. I'm not worried. I just show must go on. All right. So no, we don't compare him to Stalin at all. And the comparison to Hitler started on his side. And Mussolini, the only comparison Trump gets to Mussolini is that we know he tries to hold his chin up to hide he does the Mussolini face, according to those around him, because it takes away his nunt and it makes it, his jawline look bigger. So he does this stupid fucking Mussolini face. I don't think he even knows what the fuck Mussolini or Stalin did. And depending on who he talks to in his campaign, he doesn't know whether they're good or bad.
And I thought this was supposed to be the campaign of joy.
Oh, it is. It is. I know some, my mom's a nurse. My mom's a nurse. She's a very happy-go-lucky human being. But there are times when someone might be dying of a physical trauma right in front of her in the hospital where she would get very serious indeed. She might even yell at somebody who's fucking around and might cause the death of this person, right? And then when that's over, she goes back to being happy. The acuteness of his threat requires requires you to let the voter know that you take it as seriously as they do. We're not joking about how awful this motherfucker would be once he gets in office. We're just pointing out that he's a fucking joke.
It's even very joyful to me. What's your...
I don't know. She seems to be having a great time. That, you know, again, you can addressing this motherfucker is one thing, but everywhere else, when talking about what she wants to do for the people themselves and as a public servant, man, she lights up.
Reaction when you hear that?
They have no joy.
They have no palm olive. I'm soaking in it right now. My feet are in it. I also pour it into my diaper. It cuts the smell. Not a lot, as you can tell. You know that plastic that we put on the windows? It bubbles as soon as I walk in the room.
They took it away from him, man. I'm not a fan of Biden, obviously, but...
Sorry, they took Biden's joy?
He got 14 million votes. She got no votes.
She got the same votes he did in the election, fuckwad. And also, the 14 million was this time. In the first one, again, she wasn't in this. I really think he thinks she was in the second primary. Like, she ran against him. Holy fuck. I'm just kind of realizing this. I think this doddering motherfucker thinks that when Nikki Haley was running against him, that was Kamala Harris running on her own to be president. Like, at times when he saw her, he thought that's Kamala Harris running in a primary to get the nomination. For real. Because he brings it up like it just fucking happened. Right? It makes total fucking sense.
She was the last in 22 people ran. She was last. She came in last.
That's in 2019. And she wasn't last. She was the first to get out because she and Biden knew that they would be a good ticket together. They joined up. Instead of her chipping away at him and him chipping away at her, and they were like, we've got a lot in common. We can do something together. And she dropped out so she wouldn't have to spend the rest of the primary season denting the person in front of her and on her first run, which is dumb to start with. It was a brilliant move to get out early. And you know how brilliant it was? She ended up the fucking vice president. That's how smart Kamala Harris is. Instead of staying in and chipping away at shit. And even then, Biden put in Buttigieg. He stayed in longer. He created a bridge with Bernie Sanders, broader, wider, and more inclusive than anybody else in the Democratic Party had. More than I would argue he deserves at times. All right? But Harris didn't stay in and go, all right, if I stay in, because I'm so far behind and I'm so new to this, and this is my first time running, and she was her first term as a senator, I believe. I'm ice skating uphill. Everybody on the fringes of it. If you're one of the outside candidates, one of the things you can do is go cabinet vice president. I'd be great for this. And so you make a strategic decision. Do I stay in and keep chipping away at my fellow Democrats, or do I go, this is too fucking serious. I'm gonna drop out of this, and maybe vice president, she would have been great at the fucking DOJ. I mean, we know her as the vice president in this situation, but holy shit. I mean, I was the one, look, it was me. I'm the one who called that was what the ticket was going to be in 2019. I said it multiple times. You go back and check. I was like, that's going to be the ticket, and they're going to win. And everybody was like, what are you talking about? And I said, it's going to be Biden-Harris, and they're going to win by double at least what Hillary got as far as the popular vote and definitely the Electoral College. And everybody looked at me like I was fucking nuts. And then you're welcome. In this situation, though, before she was, even before she ran, one of the things that she was being thought of was any Democratic president would put her in as the head of the DOJ. She'd have Merrick Garland. And can you imagine Harris as the head of the DOJ, right? This is, think early 2019, late 2018, that zone.
Never made it to Iowa. They went in and they said, you're not running anymore. We're taking it away. They took it away, and he gave up much more easily than I would have thought he would have. But this is not a campaign of joy for them. It's a campaign of hatred.
Well, I mean, no. Just because we hate you doesn't mean we experience hatred. As a matter of fact, hatred would be kind of a generalized malaise. I hate Trump. I hate parking meters. I hate the people in line at the grocery store. I hate okra. Blah. Just walking around like that all the time. We don't. It's pretty localized, motherfucker. We're having a good time right now. And as soon as you're broomed, shit's going to get real normal real fast.
My father, and I mentioned this for the first time yesterday, I was in Pennsylvania.
Oh, dear. Let me guess. It's that shit about your dad saying, don't mention Hitler, don't mention Nazis, and you're going to do both.
And I mentioned it. I said, my father, when I was young, never mentioned the name Hitler, ever. He was tough on it. Somebody would say Hitler. Never mention that name.
Do you know why? Like, first of all, your dad was a big fan of Henry Ford, and not exactly against some of the stuff that Hitler said. But if your dad wasn't a Hitler fan, good for him. At least he had a line somewhere. And was that someone who brought it up, you? And were you saying he did some good things, and that's why he said it? Your own father was like, why are you espousing Hitler in this household? Maybe that's why Trump's mother was like, I think we're raising the Antichrist.
Nazi. Never mention that name. And he meant it too.
Why? Because you were saying, I'm a huge fan of, and then you would say those other things? Is that why? Because it would seem like if you were, I don't know, discussing history even, the name might come up. But what movie are you going to go see tonight? We're going to go see Saving Private Ryan. What's that about? It's about when our country fought the guys. Remember the guy with the Charlie Chaplin mustache and the people that we wished we could not see anymore? Is those?
And it was a word that you never use. You never use those words.
Also, no. At least clarify that you mean as pejoratives. But the problem is, I don't know if he understood why his dad hated it.
The embodiment of evil.
Yeah, and by the way, Hannity's trying to dig him out because this is the embodiment of evil or something like that. I'm like, okay, well then fucking don't say evil then. What the fuck? If he's the embodiment of evil, what's the difference in evil in the first place?
They accuse me of being a Nazi. They accuse me of being a Hitler type guy.
Come on, Hitler type guy. It's like, when did he turn into Jack Palance in fucking Batman? Hitler, you're my number one guy.
You never use those words. And
the
now
embodiment of
they
evil.
accuse me of being a Nazi. They accuse me of being a Hitler type guy, or
yeah, type guy. What do you mean type guy? A snazzy dresser with iconic hair, as it were. I don't accuse him of being a Hitler type guy. I accuse you of being a Hitler fan, which is fucked up, and also a Pervitin addict. Even though you mix your own batch. I understand that. It's not the exact, maybe that's your problem. Maybe you had the original stuff from old Germany. Shit, you know what? Maybe you do. Maybe this motherfucker has somebody smuggle Pervitin in from overseas, and they just have a big fucking stash of it. Thanks, Ronnie Johnson.
Hitler lover, and I'm not. I'm the opposite.
It's the opposite of a Hitler lover? Oh, well then just say you're a Hitler hater. Just say I hate Hitler. And then, you know what you could do? You could list a bunch of reasons why he's a bad guy. And what makes your philosophy different from his. And why somebody, is, denigrating his victims because of what you believe versus he believes. Or, you know what, fuck that. Just go out of the opposite and move on.
They're the ones that are doing, they're oppressive. This is like an oppressive machine. And, they also happen.
It is. Yeah, the Democrats are like an oppressive machine, especially what they're doing with women's rights right now. They're trying to force women to have a choice, they really aren't able to make, right?
And have the press for whatever reason. But think of what they're fighting for. They're fighting for open borders where
no, we're not.
Millions of people can pour into our country. Think of it. Millions of
Hey, stupid. If real quick. Now I know you're not going to hear this until it's far too late, but I hope you're watching this from your cell in the future. And piece of advice. If someone accuses you of being a Hitler-like guy, and you're trying to push back on that criticism of you as a Hitler-type guy, maybe don't follow it up with anti-immigrant, poisoning the blood of our country. You can tell by the look of these people that they're criminals talk, because that's the kind of stuff you would expect from a Hitler type guy.
Who can get elected with that? They're thinking of.
Apparently Biden, dum-dum. Maybe you suck that bad. How's it feel? How's it feel to run against somebody who believes in total or open borders, no country whatsoever? They want to be the president of the Wild West. Fuck it. Anybody can go anywhere they want. There's no such thing as private property. Run wild, you maniacs. Might makes right. Punch your way across the entire country. Fuck it. Try to make it all the way to Canada without stepping on a landmine. And that person kicked your ass. And they're going to do it again.
Having men playing in women's sports.
No, trans women aren't men. They might be biologically male, and they might be in the process of transitioning, and there should be rules, for example, on the amount of testosterone in your body and at what point in the transition you can actually compete, against, sensible conversations about how it should actually work, so that you have trans kids and trans people who can live the life they deserve to live, and you don't have autogynephiliacs and the BTKs of the world pretending that they're trans just to take advantage of things. That's an important line to have to protect trans people from posers. Okay? But that's not the same as this just bigoted blather, whatever the fuck you're saying.
It's interesting. I've been a politician now for 9 years. I hate to say I'm a politician. I guess I'm a politician.
Yeah, you held office, and you're running again. Now, I wouldn't say you're a legit politician. I think you're grifting off politics.
Nobody's ever come to me and say, "Sir, it's really important that we let men play in women's sports." Sir.
Yeah, nobody said that to anybody. But if anybody came to you and said, we have an issue where, young people who are transitioning want to compete in the sport that they are, that is more akin to their gender identity that they have versus their biological sex at birth, and it's a murky area, and it requires dignity and respect and a serious discussion about all the merits and the value of doing it hastily versus making sure the person feels supported and loved if they can't at that point, because quite frankly, you're just too big and strong for this particular thing like that. That's okay. There's a sensitive and smart way of doing it, and fuck it, just throw it out and just say men and women's sports, denigrate them, denigrate people in sports. Fuck it, never mind.
Transgender operations all over the place are really.
Yeah, all over the place. I swear to God, if I kick one more dick walking down the street, they just, honest to God, most of the people who go into the hospital today come back with different genitalia all over the place.
Nobody ever brought this stuff up. They bring up.
Yeah, they still aren't, you fucking weirdo. It's 0.05% of the population.
Could you lower taxes? Could you do this? Could you do that? Could you help me here? My
yeah, and you didn't do that, did you?
Businesses, et cetera, et cetera. They bring up a lot of things. But nobody ever came to me and said, it's really important that we do this. Men should play in women's sports. I think it's got a constituency of about almost nothing, and yet they do it. Maybe it's because they want to destroy the country. I don't know.
Yeah, that's how they're going to do it. Like, we need a plan to destroy the country. Should we gather a bunch of supporters on the National Mall and then send them to attack the country, the Congress, while they're counting the electoral votes? That seems like a direct plan. No, that might be too effective if it actually works. I suggest a more subtle plan. Let's take 0.05% of the populace and vilify them and use autogynephiliac serial killers who are not trans as a scare tactic to undermine women's sports so that the country falls apart because we throw off betting in the WNBA in 30 years. Brilliant. That'll do it. Yeah. If you're going to destroy a country, I got to say, that's the laziest fucking way to do it. Right? Look, I'm a smart guy. Some would even say a genius. Stable, we don't know about. I would never judge that. As a matter of fact, I would leave that up to other people. I think that particular, descriptive would be someone else's, because, every human being is in flux. And as a comedian, it's my job to not, I'm sort of an anti-stability artist. Huh? So, I often do an exercise, I've told you guys this, where I go through the motions of, if I was evil and I really wanted to do some damage here, what would I do? It's a martial arts thing. It's every good tactician should have that ability. It's set a thief to catch a thief. That, if you watch Mindhunter, they have to start thinking like a serial killer to catch a serial killer, all that kind of stuff. Okay, fine. We know this. It's not that weird. And not being afraid of that exercise really helps you understand how to counter these dumb fuckers. That's why I know that mocking this asshole is the only way to bring him down. You have to make him ridiculous. You can't get aggravated at him and go, fuck you. It won't work. It doesn't make a difference because his supporters want that reaction. Yeah, there you go, Boston Brian, The Art of War, right? They want you to get upset. What they really are scared of is if you're like, this asshole is very silly. He's a very silly man. And he is. And that means you can really see him. And that scares the shit out of him, right? And so you can tell partly because they will, whatever their biggest weapon that they fear could be used against their side, they will use on the other side. So there's a lot of joking and shit like that, right? They just do it very poorly. But they're really afraid of it when it comes to him. And insofar as the strategy of that's why lately in looking back over the Jan 6 stuff, I've been starting to see stuff that ties together strategically, conversations, text messages, people that were in positions, people that were involved with the Proud Boys and stuff that were put together and that's where that detail about Max Miller popped up. And for those of you who don't know, Max Miller is a Trump-endorsed Republican candidate for the House, I believe. And he was an aide in the Trump White House during January 6th. And the story that you've been told is that, hold on, must include, yes. Let's see. Here's the whole report. The piece. Chesborough, not Eastman. I'm going to make sure I get this. Yeah, Trump was going to call on everybody to march to the Capitol. And one of the reasons why they, in this process, hold on, let me see if I can bring this up before I can show it to you. One of the ways that they were going to do it was, what we've heard is Trump floated the idea of 10,000 soldiers to protect the Capitol, and he offered it to Pelosi, and she turned it down. This is not true. What was, there you go, Let's see if I can find the actual text message from him. Continue with that. There we go. Get out of here. Max Miller worked in there a little bit. I want to find the actual quote from him in this. It's shorter. Essentially, he was the one who nixed the 10,000 troops thing. And the reason was because Trump wanted the 10,000 troops to protect him, to accompany the demonstrators on the march to the Capitol, not to protect the Capitol from it, but to actually act as soldiers to protect the marchers. At which point he was going to institute the Insurrection Act, and when he instituted the Insurrection Act, then the National Guard would effectively be private troops of the sitting president. They would have to follow his order. Let's see if I can get this guy in here. This is 845-page report, so there's a bunch of shit in here. I'll find it in a minute. Hold on, chat room. Let me go to this real quick so you can talk amongst yourself. I just want to find this piece because it's kind of crucial.
Care for minors.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
Care.
Mm-hmm. Get back up here. Come back up. Open up. Come on. Why are you doing that? Here we go. National Guard response. Got it. Okay. Concern over optics. Colossal intelligence fan started to testify, push a thing. Donald Trump says his father doesn't text, which is bullshit. He borrows other people's phones and texts, which is nonsense. Loyalty tests. McEntee, Melania Trump apparently didn't like Mark Meadows. Rally organizers worry about the involvement of fringe activists. Here we go. I'm going to pop this up for you guys again. Pearson, I didn't know what was going to happen at the Capitol. I knew it wouldn't be good. That's why I could not be flexible at all on this one. That's why she stepped down. I'm going to find the part of it. But Max Miller was the guy who said, I'm glad we got rid of, we nixed the 10,000 troops. Because the idea was that they would guard the people going to the, fuck man, where's that quote? It's an 845-page report. So there's a lot of the reports on it. I should pull this and have it as, let's see, 10,000 troops. Da-da-da-bow. 10,000, subpoenas to test is in, deposition, highlights, congressional. This is going to annoy me. Yeah. Yeah, here we go. This is the Trump did not have 10,000 troops ready to deploy on Jan 6, as Defense Secretary says. It's Christopher Miller, who he put in, but this is not from my perspective. let's see, that the 10,000 national groups were told to be on the ready by Miller. Other Trump officials have repeated this claim since then. Miller conceded a non-military person probably could not have some sort of weird interpretation, but no, the answer to your question is no. When asked if there were 10,000 troops ready, this is during the deposition when they asked Miller about this. What he would he goes, when asked directly if there was a direct order from Trump, Miller said, that's correct. There was no order from the president. This means to have troops on the ready to protect, people. But ultimately, they were there to guard the marchers. I will find that and post it. It's annoying me now. But he ultimately, Miller was the main guy who said there weren't 10,000 troops there to protect the Capitol. And ultimately, he was the one who said in text messages, I'm glad we nixed the 10,000 troops because they were there to guard the demonstrators.
Without parental consent.
So
also, no one's getting. Oh, fuck you. Hold on. Let's get back to here.
Food, housing, healthcare, education.
young, never mentioned the name Hitler, ever. A young man leaves for school. Lower taxes. Could you do this? Could you do that? I think it's got a constituency of about almost nothing, and yet they do it. Maybe it's because they want to destroy the country. I don't know.
Or gender-affirming care for minors.
Sure.
Care without parental consent.
So
nonsense. No. And by the way, care and caring is not the same thing. And not telling a parent, not being ordered to tell a parent anything that's going on. If your kid was religious and your kid, they took off their cross when they got to school and they put it in their fucking locker, and the parents, and then they put it on when they went back home, but their parents insisted they wear it at school because that was their religious belief. The idea that a teacher would have the right to call a parent and say, I've seen your son take off his cross when he comes to school. I know you guys think you send him to school wearing that. We've talked about it at parent-teacher conferences. You keep bringing it up, but he takes it off and he puts it in his locker, and then he puts it on when he goes back home so you guys don't see it. And then the kid gets killed. Parents beat him to death. That happens. That kind of shit happens. That's why you don't tell parents about any of the kind of social aspect unless it's directly dangerous.
a young man leaves for school and goes to school, and the authority takes him over without
Again, this is fucking bananas.
parental consent. And
No, the authority do not take kids out of school and cut their cocks off. This is
do
ridiculous.
things to him that you don't want to know about.
Yes, I do. I want to know about them. You know who else wants to know about them? The kids' parents. And you know who would know about them? The kids' parents. You're out of your fucking mind.
I mean, is this supposed to be America? I don't think so.
That doesn't sound.
You're right. It's not. You're right. It's fucking cloud cuckoo land, you nutcase.
People are radical people, and let me tell you, she's not a smart person. She's a low IQ individual. I've said it for.
Okay, and by the way, low IQ, what he means is genetically. Let's be abundantly clear. When he keeps bringing this shit up, low IQ is in his mind a genetic aspect of intelligence. You have a max out intelligence. He thinks he's a high IQ individual because his uncle was the smartest scientist at MIT, as if a fucking relative's brains have anything to do with yours. Good Lord. But I mean, her father was the guy who crafted the economic plan for the Virgin Islands that salvaged their economy. So whatever. Anyways, yeah, it's the smartest phrenology. It's just garbage. But don't get confused when he says low IQ. This is a racist thing that, yes, it's bell curve bullshit. Absolutely.
Long time. She speaks so slowly. Everything's so slow.
No, it isn't. What is that?
She thinks of answers. They ask her a question. She talks about she was grown up with a lawn growing on her front yard.
Yes, I have her mention. I've had her mention having a lawn growing on her front yard. I didn't even know that was possible. I would love to hear. Talk about fancy pants. A double-decker lawn. A lawn growing on top of your front yard. I don't even know how that happens. Does it require scaffolding? Yeah. Thanks, Gramps. Yeah, a a lawn growing in her front yard. I mean, it's almost a direct quote. Jesus Christ, this guy has the best memory.
Everything is like crazy. 60 Minutes.
Yeah, you're right. Everything is like crazy. Apparently, I have to say, the crazy part, to me, in this situation, might be your fucking ears.
It protects her. 60 Minutes takes out her answer and puts a new answer in because her answer was so bad.
No, they truncated the answer for time.
Could you imagine them doing? I'd love to have them do.
This motherfucker.
Files.
Yeah,
Would you declassify JFK files?
yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think.
Okay, Fox cut his answer. Fox cut his answer at, yeah, I would. This is the rest of the answer.
That less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff
Yeah.
with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find
Sure.
out what happened there because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one. The other stuff I would definitely do the January 6th because,
Yeah. Yes,
beyond
so
all of
important.
them. Because what happened, how about the Unselect Committee? They had.
Also, this edit, like where they literally have to do another edit, even the version that they left in, they throw in this fucking picture so that they can cut around.
They had meetings, they had all Democrats and 2 failed Republicans, right? Cheney and crying at him.
Yikes. Sorry about that, folks. I apologize. That's just wrong. I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. I apologize. So that's just, you consider yourself warned going forward. If you need to leave the room, maybe. All right.
Kinzinger. See, Biden couldn't do this interview. Do you think he'd remember crying? Adam Kinzinger, do you think?
Also, what? I mean, again, why wouldn't you remember one of 2 of your own party that was on a committee that was after you? Biden, the reason Biden was so late getting out of the fucking SOTU is he knows everybody. Sorry, what? How'd you put your woke show on the podcast? I don't know what you mean, Sean. This show is a podcast, by the way. The House Parks podcast, Mega Worldwide. Just letting you know.
You'd remember all these different.
Oh, sorry.
Good for me. Think of it, John. 60 Minutes, CBS, they should lose their license. This isn't just editing.
Jesus Christ. These folks cut out the part where he said he wouldn't declassify the Epstein files. They cut it off at, yeah, I would. I mean, I think I would. I wouldn't really. You'd have to be careful because there's a lot of stuff in there. By the way, you don't think there's a lot of stuff and untruths and fucked up stuff in the JFK stuff? But you'd release that?
Took out her whole answer, every word, and they put a totally different answer in.
Nonsense.
So that she looked better because she looked like a very stupid person.
Thanks for downloading the podcast today. That's lovely. Subscribe, will you? To something, for fuck's sake.
They would have left the original answer. I've never even heard of a thing like that.
You mentioned.
Really? You've never even. No? No, nobody. You never even heard of somebody editing an answer?
For anything, just the way it is. Think of it. They have almost.
Oh, shit. Hold on. That was Will Kane's show.
If it's phony stuff in there, because it's a lot of phony.
There you
Second time. Anyone, it's so bad for our country. Find out.
Can we just in institutions, the CIA, one way to build trust? So if you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these.
Yeah.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah,
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
That's the edit. She goes, all right. All right. By the way, there's still like ongoing stuff against Ghislaine Maxwell, and other people involved that they're trying to snatch up. So that's why they don't release some of the things, so that people can't go, oh fuck, they've got the stuff on me, I gotta beat feet, right? That's one of the reasons you, on these long-term things, you don't release everything. I don't know about not the JFK, but the Epstein stuff. You're like, I wouldn't release some of it because we're trying to catch some of the people that are involved in it, and they might figure out the FBI's onto them. I would consult with law enforcement to make sure that we weren't stepping on an investigation or the ability to, make sure that some of these people get the justice they deserve. That you could say that. But he's too fucking stupid even to lie well.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because it's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
Yeah.
But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly.
Fuck, they so tried to give him an out. Dude, she tried to, she just wanted, if you hadn't mentioned Epstein again, they could have taken from her answer and gone forward with it and gone, yeah, I think it would. I think it would. She was trying to give you, she was literally trying to set up an edit out point. Because let me show you something. This motherfucker doesn't know what the fuck he's talking. Look at her face, too.
Yeah, I would.
All right.
Okay, yeah, I would. Cut in the interview. And then we pick it up at this point.
What happened there? Because that was a weird.
Hold on. I think wherever her part is.
The others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there, because that was a weird.
Oh, wait, hold on. I think it's before this part.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Shit.
Would
I
you,
did.
It's only a couple of seconds, so
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
I'll show you where the cuts are.
Yeah, I would.
Just live.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that
Right
less
there.
so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as.
See, she was trying to pick it up where they could cut that chunk out and go, would that restore trust? Yeah, I would. Do you think that would restore trust? Yeah, I think it would. But you had to mention Epstein again because it scares the fuck out of him.
As I do the others. Certainly.
Just a fucking dipshit. And thank God he's so dumb.
Your father, and you did have, I know the media would like to focus on the comments of one general, but you had about a week or so ago 200 former generals, admirals all come out in support of you.
Former?
Yeah.
Over 300 people from the administration.
Wait a minute. You had 300 peepers?
About a week or so ago, 200 former generals, admirals all come out in support of you.
Nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
Over 300 people from the administration.
I would have figured he had far more peepers in the administration than just 300.
Administration, the most respected people. I see even Bill Barr's name was mentioned. I said, well, that's nice. Because he understood, he understood I did a hell of a good job. And so did everyone. They signed a document. Over 300 people. The press will not put it out. I'm so glad you guys, thank you for asking this question. But I had over 300 of the top people from intelligence, generals, everybody, from the administration saying Trump was a great president.
Sorry. Well, okay, real quick. 300 former Trump letter. Well, yeah, the only thing I'm seeing, oh, here he goes. The only thing I'm seeing about 300, let's see if I can get these in line. What's coming up? Open letter backing. No, that's not it either. Okay. Yeah, here's what I got so far. You'll be surprised to find that a bunch of them aren't necessarily positive. This is the first one. More than 700 current and former national security officials back Harris. A letter signed by former secretaries of state and defense endorsed her and said former President Donald J. Trump poses a threat to the nation's defense and its democratic system. More than 300 ex-officials say Trump's Ukraine actions are a profound national security concern. The former national security officials from Democratic and GOP administration shared their worries over Trump in a letter released on Friday. That's in 2019. That's during impeachment. 13 former Trump administration officials signed open letter backing up John Kelly's criticism of Trump. Kelly told them that he meets the definition of a fascist. We applaud General Kelly for highlighting in stark details the danger of the second Trump term. Yeah, I don't see the top people thing. Top men.
But the press won't put that out. They just don't. Look, we have a
Why don't you put it out, motherfucker? Why isn't it showing up? Because it's bullshit?
very, very corrupt and dishonest press. And I think with time it gets better because they're all doing pretty bad.
Why didn't you post? Didn't you say I posted it on Truth Social? And why wouldn't Sean Hannity go? Yeah, we posted it on our site. It'll be in the comments on our videos. That would be easy enough, wouldn't it?
Badly.
Let me ask you this.
Can you kick my ass?
You mentioned your father said never say the word Nazi.
Yes, he also said never have glasses of water on a table nearby. It just promotes the wrong kind of behavior. Also, if you're sitting with another man in a room, it's best to face directly in front of him so that your crotches are pointed at each other, and whoever covers their lap with paper first loses.
And you even have NBC News comparing Madison Square Garden to the Nazi rally, and I'll get to MSG in a second, and I'll get to your closing arguments.
Which I thought, we got great reviews for our Nazi rally.
But what's interesting is if you want to talk about the embodiment of evil, you talk about Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you could also talk about Jim Jones, David Koresh, Pol Pot, any number of East Timorese generals, the Burmese military. I mean, Vladimir Putin.
And they are pounding this. That is their closing argument. This is the environment we're in.
But it's the only thing they can do.
Hey, no. This isn't the environment, Sean. Wait. Stop. Sean, we're not in this environment. It was your job. You had 6 jobs to clean up his dictator comments, and you couldn't fucking do it. That's what you were supposed to do. You were supposed to, when he said, I'd like to be a dictator for one day, and he said being a dictator isn't necessarily bad, you were supposed to go in and clean it up and go, no, of course I don't mean that. I'm not going to be a dictator. It would just, if we could get past all these, the obstruction from these people, because the stuff I'm talking about is very popular with the people. That's like, it's an easy fucking answer, but he couldn't even do that, could he, Sean? You know why? It's not him. I don't blame him. He's fucking stupid. I blame you, Sean. It isn't... Trump probably could have been talked into saying the right thing, scripting him into a moment that salvaged that moment. But you fucked up, Sean. You're terrible at it. You suck. As a Trump whisperer, as a messaging expert, as a fucking, talking point cowboy, whatever the fuck you think you are, you suck. You suck, son. You're terrible at this, and it's all your fault. The reason they're calling him Stalin and Hitler and stuff is because not only did he not listen to you, but he took what you said as a challenge and decided, fuck it, I'm only going to get one chance at having a Madison Square Garden gathering, so let's just do it like the Nazis did. Come on, baby. Dude, they had red flags hanging everywhere. Get the fuck out of here. Half of it was directly racist statements, for fuck's sake. And it's not his fault. He's stupid. He can't help himself. Sean, you were supposed to be there for him. You were supposed to stop this. You were supposed to help him reclaim his legacy that he fucked up on January 6th, and you couldn't do it. Now, some people will tell you, Sean, that's because he's an inherently flawed man. He can't be salvaged. I don't buy it. I think he's enough of a showman and he's got enough muscle memory as a bullshit artist that he could be convinced to lie effectively. But you're just too stupid, Sean. You're just too stupid. You're a dumb man and you're weak and you're bad at this and everybody's relying on you and you fucked up. Other than that, I have no opinion.
Because look,
they can't
I had
run
the
on-
best economy in history. I
No, he did not.
had the strongest border, and the border
No, he didn't. He had COVID.
wall. I built 500 miles of wall.
He had 21 miles of extra wall. The rest of it was just reinforced barrier that was already slated to be replaced during the Obama years.
And without that wall, nobody could do anything. You couldn't. Remember they used to say, you don't need a wall. What are you going to do? Send some drones up to look
She
around?
called it a vanity project.
Yeah, but now they
medieval
have to-
vanity.
Yeah, and it helped so much, though. You built 500 miles of wall, and look, it nearly, I mean, I don't even know why we're even worried about the border. It can't be open. It's got a giant fucking wall. Or it could be maggots scoot in. When you got a piece of fencing, barbed wire fencing, whatever you got, and it runs up an embankment, and you just put little stake. You stake the fence post in the ground. They only have to go down about 2-3 feet, maybe a little bit of concrete in the base. They'll stay right there, and you chain the fence together. All that kind of stuff. Put a little barbed wire across it, and then the ground on the Mexican side of it can be rocky and can be on you put it right up to the edge of a slope, so it's very hard to get up. Even if you can get up the dirty side of it, getting over the chain link fence with the barbed wire on it afterwards would be very, very difficult. But then, what if I said, that's not good enough? It doesn't look scary, even though it works. I want something more macho. So let's build a giant wall. Well, to do that, you're going to need to flatten out the ground on both sides of the wall so you can build a foundation deep enough to hold the wall up. And the construction crews are going to need to work on both sides of the fucking thing. So you are going to need an access road on this side and an access road on this side. Now, where is the wall going to end? It's going to end where the federal government cannot build wall, private land or Indian land. And that's exactly what happened. They flattened out the ground on either side of the wall. In some cases, Donald Trump is the first president to give territory to Mexico since the fucking Alamo. And now the southern side of it, and by the way, somebody's like, do you think he watches your show? No, but I know some maggots do, and this is for you. This is for you, maggots. Mr. Construction here will tell you that if you want to build a big wall like that, you can't just build it right on the edge of a fucking embankment right next to the water. It'll fall over. You got to be able to dig down. And if you want to dig down, you're going to have an access road. You're going to have enough dirt on either side of it. And if there's not enough room because there's a fucking river there, you're going to have to move it in. And what does that do? That gives territory to Mexico and moves the border into the United States a little bit. Maybe it's just a few feet, but it is legally ceding territory to Mexico. So fuck you. The other thing too is now you got an access road on either side of the wall. Here's the wall. Here's Mexico side. Here's the American side. Here's the wall. And then the wall goes all the way down until it stops at private land. And that's it. And there's an access road right up to the edge of it. And what happens now? Somebody who used to have to crawl over fucking like hillsides and carry shit up, and they could barely carry a backpack of stuff because the ground was slippery and dirty and it was very sandy and all that kind of shit, can now roll a suitcase to the end of the wall and walk around it. Think about that for a second. Think about how fucking dumb that is. Good. Have fun. And COVID was the reason why he had a better border for a while. Same thing with clean air and clean water. I had the cleanest air and the cleanest water. Yeah, because all the planes in the entire fucking world were grounded for months.
Do it.
Project.
Now they have to, in the meantime, they put in for funding to do a wall. Look, I had the best economy ever. We cut more regulations than ever cut. I had no.
He cut more regulations than ever cut. By the way, congratulations, East Palestine, Ohio. How do you think that train ended up in your town? Regulations. Who needs them? Safety.
Wars. Think of it. No wars except.
He had plenty of wars.
I finished off a war that they couldn't finish. They wouldn't have finished it off in 10 years. I did it in.
Yeah, it's that whole not trying to kill civilians thing. It really does slow down your war machine. But if you don't give a fuck, man, wars get really fast if you don't give a shit about civilians. You notice that? That's why he told Netanyahu to do what you gotta do.
Few weeks. ISIS. I knocked out ISIS. I rebuilt our military.
ISIS are the people that killed people at Soleimani's funeral in Iran, and also it was an ISIS bomber that killed our soldiers in Afghanistan. ISIS has Bagram surrounded. It's full of Chinese right now, but they're surrounded on all sides by ISIS. He didn't get rid of ISIS. He got rid of the caliphate, the connected chunks of the caliphate in Iraq and Syria and the surrounding area. And part of the way he did it was to give up the Kurds.
I gave you the largest tax cuts in the history of our country.
No, he didn't.
We had the greatest economy in the history of our country.
No, he didn't. And by the way, you notice he keeps saying that over and over. Why? I'll tell you why. Because most of the people who have 401ks, or most people who have investments, are doing better now than they were at any point during the Trump administration, even before COVID.
We're lapping.
That's why he's saying it in a panic now. He wouldn't have to tell you if it was true. Right? He wouldn't.
Think of it. We were lapping China. I took out hundreds.
Also, we were lapping China. You were lapping Xi's ass with your tongue.
Hundreds of billions of dollars from China in the form of taxes and tariffs. Nobody.
No, you weren't. China doesn't pay tariffs. The person buying the goods pays the tariff. Let me say that again. The person buying the goods pays the tariff. If I buy something from China and they sell it to me and there's a tariff on it, I pay the tariff. They don't pay the tariff. Even still, like import taxes and duties in some cases that are paid by the exporter from the country, those are a very minor part of it. And most of them are still in place because they were in place before he even got in office.
We thought it was even possible. And China respected us, and everybody respected us.
No, they did not. Dude, they left you sticky, broke, and confused and damp, and they crawled out a fucking window when they were done with you. He sounds like a dejected lover the next morning. You said you respected me.
Orban said he was the most respected leader.
Orban has the most draconian gun laws in his country of the entire EU. You think the liberal EU is so far left? Orban has worse gun laws than they do. So maggots, if you like this guy and you support him and you're like, he's a strong leader and strong leaders do that. Okay. Orban, like the only country I can think of that has stronger rules about gun ownership than Hungary is fucking Russia.
And now we have these clowns that look so bad. They make us look so bad.
We don't look bad. We really don't. You know what looks bad? Just for the record, you know what looks bad? Let me tell you. You know what looks bad? It looks bad when you think you're going to take a country in 6 days, and 3 years later, you've lost 700,000 soldiers attacking a country 1/8 your size. That looks bad. You know what? You know what looks bad? When your stated enemy in the world, namely the United States, has at current rate 2.8% inflation, coming down from a spike like the rest of the world experienced, the entire world experienced because of COVID, and yours is still at 21%. Russia's interest rate is 21%. U.S. interest rate is, what, 4.75. And it's going to drop another half point in December. It's going to keep coming down. What Donald Trump is telling you is that he would prefer that when we go to war, we be more like Russia. A mission that should have taken 6 days should cost us 700,000 soldiers. A death toll so high, we have to have cremation trucks. That's what Donald Trump's idea of strength and someone being at the top of their game is. You hear me? And economically, he believes that if forced isolation from the rest of the world and a 21% interest rate is an example of the people who are firing on all cylinders. These are sharp people. They're streetwise. It's embarrassing. It's just stupid. This asshole thinks North Korea is a functioning country.
Nobody can believe what's
Let me
happened
ask
to
you,
our country.
If they,
Yeah, you're right. Everybody's like, how the fuck are they doing so well?
if they're closing,
I thought Sleepy Joe was supposed to be this doddering motherfucker, and yet NATO's stronger than ever. They got 2 new members /3. We're going, Ukraine is all in on support and love of the United States. We've got the strongest economy of the G20 and the G7. China has lost all of its economic momentum, and mostly because of Biden's Chips and Science Act.
argument, and their surrogates are doubled down and tripled down and quadrupled down on Nazi, fascist.
And here you come with this asshole who opens up for you and says this stupid shit. Why can you not stop stepping on your own belly?
Think of the environment we're in. In Butler, Pennsylvania,
A registered Republican
you came within a millimeter
of being killed by a registered Republican,
of being murdered,
by a registered Republican.
assassinated.
No.
We had Trump International. You had a would-be assassin
Who had voted for you.
in the bushes with an AK-47 with a scope on it.
Yeah, couldn't even use an American fucking rifle. What the fuck?
This is the environment we're in.
Yes. One guy voted for you already, and the other one was ready to, but didn't think you were going far enough.
I am told, you can confirm if you want or not, Iranian hit squads are in this country that want to assassinate you.
And you're still ordering from buffets.
And you have an entire establishment in the Democratic Party. Kamala's not telling them no. She herself is using some of these words. Tim Walz is using these.
Hold on. Wait. First of all, Iran gets its name from the word Aryan. Hitler himself was more in line with the original Iranians, not the Islamists that took over the place. The origins of the Aryan people. Iran Chamber Society. I am Darius, the great king, the king of kings, the king of many countries and many people, the king of this expansive land, the son of Wishtaspa of Archaemenid, Persian, the son of Persia, Aryan from the Aryan race. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. The word Iran is based on the same linguistic root as Aryan. The original Iranians were part of Hitler's idea of a high order people, light skinned, light eyes, like North Africans and Egyptians. There were all these kind of ties in that they were looking for the best of the light skinned people. Persians themselves, they viewed them as very powerful people. Aryan is made up. No, it's not made up. It's the point is that, I mean, they're all made up. If you want to go that, like, they're all descriptives, not definitions. That doesn't matter. But the point is, that's where they come from. To the tune of what? I don't know. I'm just singing to be a dickhead. But the point is, Iran and Aryan very much aligned with Hitler. So Hitler had a, hold on. This is an article from Cambridge University. Iran and the Nazi New Order, 1933 to 1941. Despite a succession of scholarly studies over the years, the relationship between Reza Shah's Iran and National Socialist Germany has not been fully explored. Rather than focusing on the supposed Aryan ideological sympathies that bound the two countries together, this article argues that the real driver of the German-Iranian relationship in the 1930s was economic, based on the mutual interaction of state economic initiatives. It states that Iran's place in Nazism's economic system was the outcome of two factors: the new plan of Reich economics minister Jalmar Schacht and its focus on clearing agreements as a motor for Depression-era trade, and the connections of Schacht's system to Reza Shah's strategy to modernize Iran. A place where, before the Islamists took over, Iran was a place where Europeans went to ski. There was, again, fucking people don't know anything. God damn it. This is so silly. So the idea that the Iranians want to kill him because they hear Hitler rhetoric is just dumb. That would give them pause. If they're like, wait. Sorry, he's like Hitler? Oh, well, hang out.
Nazi analogies. And in light of the environment.
Also, again, do you think that Ayatollah Khomeini needs a reason to kill Trump at all? Much less the fact that, like, oh, dear God, not another Nazi. Like, the people who are currently trying to wipe Israel off the face of the earth are going to go, wait a minute, that guy's a Nazi? Get him. What the fuck? Who? What?
What has happened, and assassination squads being here. I mean, what is your reaction to the fact that they won't stand up morally and say...
My question is, Sean, if you know this, what are you doing in the same room with the guy? I mean, clearly the sitting president wants him dead and he's got full immunity because of the asshole you're sitting across from, and Harris isn't doing anything. The Secret Service can't do their job. They just, every time they walk in the room, the fucking yakety sax starts playing, So why would you sit in a room with a guy when there's Iranian death squads? Holy shit. It's like what was it? The Suicide Squad in Life of Brian. Yeah, here it is. These guys show up on the. It's the Judean People's Front Suicide Squad. My favorite part, I think, is where they yell attack.
Squad! Suicide Squad! Attack!
Careful, those guys might be on the lawn at Mar-a-Lago right now.
Stop with
the Judean People's Front. Splitters!
The Nazi fascist garbage, and let's argue on the issues of the day, and whoever...
Yeah, psst, hey, asshole. Psst, psst, psst. Hey, don't bring up the word garbage.
Wins.
They only go after consequential presidents.
Oh, by the way, no. Every president who's in a re-election gets gone after. I don't know what the fuck that is. You mean they only try to assassinate consequential presidents? Well, it's nice of you to say that Gerald Ford was a consequential president because he was shot for real and I think finished his fucking speech.
I'm very consequential.
Yeah. Kind of like a syphilis diagnosis. pretty consequential.
I make China pay. I had Iran ready to make a deal. They would have done anything. Now they have $350 billion.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, he says this a lot too. If they were ready to make a deal a week after the election, they would have made a deal if it had gone another way. You're still president for 2 fucking months. You couldn't make a fucking deal? I thought you were the king of deals. They were that ready to make a deal. Within a week, they would have made a fucking deal. But because, Biden's coming in, they're like, oh, we don't have to wait. We'll just fuck him.
They were broke with me, and I would have been very good to Iran. They had to have one thing: no nuclear weapons. You can't have nuclear weapon.
Yeah, that was the deal we had already, asshat.
Nuclear weapons are the greatest danger to our country going forward, to the world going forward. It's not global warming. I'm an environmentalist. I do great things. We had the cleanest air. We had the cleanest water.
Because all transportation ground to a halt in 2020. Mm-hmm. One moment. Mm-hmm. Hold on, I'm waiting for the... All right, there you go. This is going to shock fucking everybody. We had the cleanest air during my presidency. We had the cleanest water. We had the motherfucker. All right. When air and road travel decreased during COVID, so did pollution levels. Ultrafine particle concentration by 48% during the state of emergency period, which corresponded with both aircraft and road traffic reductions of 74% and 51% respectively. During the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic, global road travel and commercial flight actively decreased by 50% and 60% respectively, compared to pre-pandemic levels. During the lockdowns that cities imposed in their initial months of COVID, flight activity in particular was reduced to near standstill, decreasing by 96%, nearly triple the percentage of flight reductions that followed the 9/11 attacks. This unexpected and widespread halt in travel provided a rare opportunity for researchers to explore the impact of these mobility changes on air pollution, specifically ultrafine particles. Now, a new study by the School of Public Health has found that ultrafine particle concentration dropped by nearly 50% due to reduced aviation and road activity during the first few months of the pandemic. We had the best. We had the best. We had the best. Water and air was the best. It was the best. When no one was doing anything, and it was so quiet, everybody was in their house. No horns were honking. Yeah, and the best thing about it is if somebody had a fever blister, you didn't have to see it. We had fewer fever blisters and pimples on the lower half of people's faces during COVID, as far as we knew. What an asshole. We had such good air when I fucked up the pandemic and nobody could go anywhere.
But if the ocean rises 1/8 of an inch over the next 500 years, we'll handle that. What we don't.
We'll handle that. By the way, if that happens, by the way, it's not 1/8 of an inch over 500 years. It's much more acute. Florida will be underwater. But Florida will not be underwater in an Atlantis, let's go diving and see what's left of Miami and swim through the old high rises. It will be under this much water everywhere. It's not going to be one of these things where like people are like taking a look at the fucking Titanic, the Titanic sunk. They're like, let's go diving and look at it. No, this is Florida in Donald Trump's future. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. God damn, fucking. I love Disneyland, but Disney World, but shit, fucking mosquitoes. Jesus, is that a fucking croc? Is that an alligator? Jesus. Yeah.
Want is global warming of the nuclear variety, and that
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Because conventional warfare, when it cooks off, doesn't kill you.
could happen tomorrow.
That could happen tomorrow. All right, so I think this is the piece of it. These are the parts where they have to cut this up into chunks because they keep the maggots like, there's going to be more. Pearls of wisdom, right? And ads and something, and then maybe they come back and get my pillow. They stain less than others. Get your Jesus goo on my pillows. All right, here we're back.
And now more of my exclusive interview with Donald J. Trump from earlier today. You've created a broad coalition.
By the way, can we just understand why they had to cut away? I'll show you. You get a better grip.
And now more of my exclusive interview with Donald J. Trump from earlier today. You've created a broad coalition. I believe the Republican Party is now the party of hardworking men and women, and the Democratic Party is the party of Hollywood, New York, and D.C. coastal elites, as I call them.
If that, right. This is Trump, by the way. Trump would rather have the coastal elites. That's the problem. They don't have the coastal elites. I have the coastal elites. I have the working people and the coastal. Everybody loves me. There's no division here. And he would rather have those people. Dude, why do you think he tries to take every public golf course that he takes over? Why he wants to take it public? Why he wants to take it private? Every single one of them. He files paperwork to try and do it. Like he buys it with the idea, like, okay, in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, we're gonna take this, private. Let's make it exclusive. He's been trying with that one in fucking LA forever. Can't do it.
So you have built a very broad, diverse coalition.
Yeah, all shades of orange are welcome.
Including Hispanic Americans, African Americans, and by the way,
you might want to hang on to that thought.
Wait, I'll put the numbers up on the screen, and we can and show people where they were in those first 3 years of your presidency.
Oh, yeah.
The best growth rate in 60 years, and the people that did best were minorities in America.
That's right. They did the best.
But no, they didn't. They did their best, but they never narrowed. Hold on, let me show you. Here's what real progress looks like. Let me show you this real quick. Where's the? God damn, these pieces of paper. I have an ad blocker on this thing, and it just takes up so much fucking space. There it is. Gap in home values for Latino and white-owned houses narrows. See the importance of this part? Gap. Stuff goes up, stuff goes down. You can benefit from the economy before you. You can, if everything's trending in one direction, rising tide is lifting all boats, but not everybody's at the same water level. Do you understand? It's the gap that is like how you deal with the gap, and like black people and Latinos in their home values and the like being separate speaks to a greater issue in society. If you can narrow that gap so that home values are pretty much in line, there should be in America, I think, no real separation between races within any, outside the margin of error, right? To where you can't say whether or not that's a factor at all, right? But the point is to narrow that. Same thing with unemployment. Unemployment between like black unemployment, Latino unemployment under Biden has narrowed to the mean. That's what you want. That's what policy is. That's what you try to actually make happen. You can't just go, well, the market's going up and the market's going down and I'm just riding that. And I happen to show up at a time when it's on the rise so I can take advantage of that thing. No, your policies either will narrow that thing or drive them further apart. Trump never narrowed them and in some cases drove them further apart. The average value of houses owned by U.S. Latinos is the closest it has ever been to that of homes owned by white non-Hispanics per a new report. Closest it has ever been. Thanks, Joe Biden. Do you see how that matters? You see what I'm talking about?
You have built this coalition. Anyway, so you have this big event at Madison Square Garden. It went on for hours. I don't even know if you were there for the whole thing. I don't know what time you got there.
Yeah, give him an out. It's his event. Hold on. I got news for you. Hold on. This is going to fucking annoy me. On November 12th, 2007, Dane Cook became the second comic ever to sell out Madison Square Garden's large arena space. There's a secondary Madison Square Garden place that a lot of people play when as comedians and stuff, that they play the Garden, but the bigger space. After Andrew Dice Clay did it in 1990, both Dane Cook and Andrew Dice Clay have sold out. They sold tickets to their show. It was not free like Trump's event. They sold tickets. And Dane Cook and Andrew Dice Clay sold the place out. And Dane Cook sold out 2 shows in one night. Now, think what you will about Dane Cook. That's not the point I'm trying to make. We're not even talking about fucking the Rolling Stones. We're not talking about the ticket price they put out. As a matter of fact, what was the ticket price? I don't want them now, dum-dum. It's all new stuff. God damn it. Anyways, generalized, we're talking about $50. Let's just start there. And then better and better as you get closer. Point being is that Trump's event was free. These guys both sold it out. As individuals, no guitar, specifically. Okay? So the idea that it was like a love fest and he doesn't know. Now, here's the other thing. Do you think Dane Cook and Andrew Dice Clay, both of who sold out the place, filmed specials there, knew who was opening for them? Do you think they had a pretty good fucking idea of who the opener was and what their act would be? And that's Dane fucking Cook and Andrew Dice Clay. Do you see where I'm going with this? That these guys paid more attention to who was in their fucking show than this guy did, and he's running for fucking president.
I was told and made aware that you had no idea about this comedian.
No. You don't get to lead him down this road. Objection, Your Honor. Leading the witness. States facts not in evidence. Conjecture sustained. Thank you very much. Or as our dear friend Jet would say.
Come on now, that ain't even bullshit. That's horse shit.
Listen. He's setting Trump up. This is how you talk to Trump when you're trying to fix what he's doing. This is Sean's job. This whole fucking interview, why they're doing this is let him say his regular shit, but corral him in so he disavows this language. The same thing you did with when you fucked up the whole dictator shit. Do the same thing with Tony Hinchcliffe's bit. Fix it, Sean. Fix it. So the first thing you do is, I heard people say that you didn't know, which means tell people you didn't know.
Made comments.
I have no idea who he is.
All right. Then fuck you. You shouldn't be president. Jesus Christ. It was your event, and you still don't know who he is after this happened. Huge issue, blowing up on social media, completely fucked up, and your excuse is you still don't know who he is. Fuck you.
Somebody said there was a comedian that joked about Puerto Rico or something.
Is that what, or something? Really? Really? I'm sorry, mister. I have the best words. I have the best memory. He joked about Puerto Rico or something. Fuck off. You don't get to. All right. This isn't somebody tacitly related to the campaign in another state who said something, that was off, this off script or some shit and was not hired directly by the campaign or a volunteer or something. This motherfucker was picked specifically by your son, either Barron or Don Jr. or both, because they think he's fucking hilarious and they cleared his material. So what you now, and if you don't know what he said, because you haven't had a chance to watch what he said, or you don't, here's the worst part. It's not that you didn't watch it. It's that you don't care. It's a big fucking deal. I don't care what he said. He was joking. You can say any joke you want opening my rally. If he offended a bunch of Puerto Ricans, who gives a shit? That's what he means. That's the best possible version of what he just said. I don't know. I didn't bother to fucking figure it out.
And I have no idea who he was. Never saw him. Never heard of him.
You have now, motherfucker.
And don't want to hear of him. But
tough. He played your event at Madison Square Garden, you dumb motherfucker.
I have no idea. They put a comedian in, which everybody did.
Who's they? As a reporter, if Sean Hannity was one, and he's not, obviously, or they wouldn't allow him to speak to Trump at all. Who's they, motherfucker? Who puts your event together? I think the better question is how gacked up on coke was Don Jr. when he thought, when he texted, that'd be fucking hilarious. Totally. Get Tony.
As you throw comedians in, you don't vet them and go crazy. It's not.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, a week to election? Yeah, you do. If you're going to have it, by the way, to the Harris campaign, to almost any campaign, don't have me do stand-up at your event. Have me speak. If you want me to speak, I'll speak. I can give a fuck. I'll kill her speech, and I'll put away my big boy words. But if you ask me to do stand-up, that's a different animal, different venue, and I won't do it because the kind of stand-up I do belongs in a comedy club or a theater, specifically to that show. Do not have me open for you. And it's not because I'm going to say something offensive. It's just I'm going to use free-flowing language, and you don't need that shit. That's it. But I give a rousing speech. This is the problem. People only have, one talent. I don't know how they live. It's so sad to me.
Nobody's fault, but
it's somebody's fault. You know whose fault it is? It's your fault. It's your rally. It's your campaign for President of the United States, you absolute tit. And in many ways, this is, to Puerto Ricans, I apologize. You have to deal with this horse shit. It's just awful. I don't know why this has to be on your backs. You didn't do anything to deserve any of this attention. This is just shit. But pay attention to how this fucker's like, I don't know, it just happens. You put a comic up and you don't look at what they're going to say. And if they say something, fuck it, doesn't matter.
Somebody said some bad things. Now, what they've done is taken somebody that has nothing to do with the party, has nothing to do with us, said something, and they try and make a big deal. But I don't.
Nothing? I'm sorry. How many was it an open mic at the fucking rally up to a point? Did you just let anybody fucking talk? It sounded like it. Nothing to do with, then what? If they had nothing to do with the campaign, nothing to do with the party, nothing to do with why were they on stage at your fucking event?
I don't know who it is. I don't even know who put them in.
Again, why the fuck not? Right? How is this what the fuck? How is this an excuse?
I can't imagine it's a big deal. I've done more.
It's a big, fuck you. It's a big deal. It is a big deal. And by the way, if you don't know who he is and you don't know what he said and you didn't hear it and you don't know who booked him and you can't imagine it's a big deal, it's because you don't give a fuck. Because you don't give a fuck.
For Puerto Rico than any president I think that's ever been president.
Gibberish. What?
When the hurricanes came, I rebuilt. I helped them rebuild their electrical system. I helped them rebuild.
Well, excuse me. No, you didn't. The U.S. taxpayer did. And Republicans were the only ones slowing that support. Hold on. The Trump administration also obstructed an investigation looking into why it was depriving the U.S. territory of congressionally approved funds. Congressionally approved funds. Congressionally approved funds. They got congressionally approved funds. The Congress controls the purse strings of the government, and the administration doles it out, or doesn't in this case. Motherfucker. The administration of former President Donald Trump obstructed an investigation looking into why officials withheld about $20 billion in hurricane relief for Puerto Rico following the devastating aftermath of Hurricane Maria in 2017, one of the deadliest U.S. natural disasters in over 100 years, a new report says. The Department of Housing and Urban Development Office of Inspector General report made public Thursday also found that tensions between the department and the Office of Management and Budget resulted in unprecedented procedural hurdles that produced delays in the disbursement of the congressionally approved funds. It all started after 2018 when OMB began requiring HUD to send grant notices for disaster funds through an interagency review process for approval, making it hard for HUD to publish the notices needed to unlock funding in a timely manner. Investigators found that OMB had never before required such a review process for the notice allocating recovery funds. Former HUD Deputy Secretary Brian Montgomery told investigators about a phone call he had with then OMB Director Russell Voigt, in which Montgomery told Vought that, I think it's Vought, right? The actions from this office were equivalent to holding disaster relief funds hostage, according to the report. Investigators said they were unable to obtain testimonies from officials who ordered the interagency review process. Former HUD Secretary Ben Carson and other former HUD officials also declined to be interviewed by investigators. Access to HUD information was delayed or denied multiple times throughout the course of the investigation, the report said, and several former senior administration officials at the OMB refused to provide requested information about their decision-making process regarding the Puerto Rico relief funds. However, investigators were able to interview 20 current and former HUD officials and 2 Puerto Rican housing officials. The Inspector General said its oversight authorities do not allow for review or official opinion actions taken by Trump administration officials. Trump administration's OMB also insisted on overhauls to Puerto Rico's property management records, suspension of its minimum wage on federal contracts, and other prerequisites to access relief funds. Let's look at that again. The Trump administration's Office of Management and Budget, OMB, insisted on overhauls to Puerto Rico's property management records, suspension of its minimum wage on federal contracts, and other prerequisites to access relief funds, according to the report. Some HUD officials worried such requirements were potentially beyond HUD's authority to impose on grantees. Surprise, surprise, it fucking was. The Office of Inspector General began to review the process in 2019 after Congress asked it to look into hurricane aid delays as the island sought to recover from the storm that resulted in the deaths of 2,975 people and triggered the world's second longest blackout. 7 months after the probe was launched, 2 top HUD officials admitted to knowingly missing the congressionally mandated deadline to issue a notice that would have unlocked billions in federal recovery funds to Puerto Rico. Knowingly missing the congressionally mandated deadline. Carson later defended his agency's actions by echoing Trump's talking points, citing concerns about corruption, fiscal irregularities, and Puerto Rico's capacity to manage these funds. Throughout his term, Trump repeatedly opposed disaster funding for Puerto Rico while disputing and failing to acknowledge Maria's death toll. Trump also told the White House officials that he did not want a single dollar going to Puerto Rico. The Washington Post reported in 2019, instead, he wanted more of the money to go to Texas and Florida. Fuck this dude. Trump administration doubles down on opposition to Puerto Rico funding, drawing criticism. President Trump does not value the lives of millions of American citizens who reside there, Nadia Velasquez said. The White House doubled down on Wednesday on President Donald Trump's comments opposing disaster funding for Puerto Rico, drawing outrage from Democratic members of Congress. On Tuesday, Trump told Republican legislators at a closed-door Capitol Hill meeting that Puerto Rico had gotten too much money to rebuild after Hurricane Maria. The amount is way out of proportion from what Texas and Florida and others have gotten, Trump said, according to Senator Marco Rubio, who was in the room and now carries Trump's testicles in his gullet. And Wednesday, the White House Deputy Press Secretary Judd Deere told NBC News that while Puerto Rico is on track to receive tens of billions of dollars in unprecedented aid, the Trump administration will not put taxpayers on the hook to correct a decades-long spending crisis that left the island with deep-rooted economic problems. It was not the case. They stopped the actual disaster relief funds. President's remarks, reported the media, have at long last laid bare the central reason for his administration's callous response to Maria's devastation in Puerto Rico, namely that he does not value the lives of millions of American citizens who reside there. Why are we fucking surprised that this prick had Tony Hinchcliffe open for him with a joke that the rest of his family thought that was funny? There he is, tossing the fucking paper towels, trying to shift shutdown blame. White House slams Dems' Puerto Rico trip. I think we're supposed to believe the Democrats blew off negotiations to have fun in the sun in January. That's not even close to being true. The Wall Street Journal reported yesterday on the divisions among the White House staffers on the best strategy for the ongoing government shutdown, and included an odd quote from one of Donald Trump's aides. Everyone wants to know what the president is doing, an unnamed senior White House official said. Let me tell you what he's not doing. He's not going to Puerto Rico. Everyone wants to know what the president is doing. Let me tell you what he's not doing. He's not going to Puerto Rico. I would like to remind everyone that John Oliver has an enormous staff. And I have an organically large staff. But I do this alone. All right. And by the way, all those like facts that prove he's a fucking racist piece of shit in general aside, saying I don't know the guy is not disavowing what he says, and it's no fucking excuse.
Dams and everything else. That place was hit by so many hurricanes. It's almost like Hurricane Alley. I've never seen anything like it.
What the fuck are you talking about? Hurricane, where the fuck do you think Florida is? Hurricane Alley?
And Puerto Ricans love me because I was the president that...
Hold on. You're the president that stepped on the hose that was giving them relief that the Congress allocated.
Any president, I've had great relationships with Hispanics, but I've had really great relationship with Puerto Rico and people from Puerto Rico. They love, every time I go outside, I see somebody from Puerto Rico. They give me a hug and a kiss.
Jesus Christ. No, you don't. And if you ever did, that shit, that day is past. That's gone. Say goodbye to the day when. And by the way, do you mean you have staff that works at Doral that's from Puerto Rico and you make them? Are you sure you're not talking about the time you like grab Puerto Rican women by the pussy?
I gave them more money. I sent the hospital ship when they had one of the big hurricanes. They had no hospitals. The hospitals were wiped out. I sent the big Mercy ship.
What? Hold on. Yeah, no. Did you? You did? You did. They were wiped out. They weren't in any hospitals, and you sent a hospital ship? By the way, we've sent ships like this to Puerto Rico before, and other areas before. I believe there was one even off the coast during Katrina after the during that time of cleanup. And certainly during COVID, which he had to be talked into doing as well. From September 26th, the day after my my birthday in 2017, as the devastation of Hurricane Maria became more apparent Sunday, former Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton implored President Trump and Defense Secretary Jim Mattis to help the people of Puerto Rico. Send the Navy, she tweeted, especially the hospital ship, the USNS Comfort. 2 days later, Federal Emergency Management Agency Director Brock Long announced that the Navy will soon do exactly that. They didn't start sending it 2 days later. 2 days later, they said they would. The decision, disclosed in front of the White House on Tuesday afternoon, was later confirmed by the Navy. It comes after days of critics saying the U.S. government isn't doing enough to support hurricane relief in Puerto Rico, a U.S. territory of nearly 3.5 million people that faces months without electricity and a long rebuilding process. Former Commander Mike Kafka, a service spokesman, said the ship will leave within 4 days, in the next 4 days, and will take up to 5 additional days to reach Puerto Rico. He called the move a prudent decision in light of current conditions on the ground. Let's see. Since then, okay. And by the way, Washington Post puts this thing in, I guess. Clinton's tweet lacked important context. The Navy had already sent 2 amphibious ships off the coast, the USS Kearsarge and the Oak Hill, so the few thousand Marines and sailors aboard could launch relief operations, but her call to action took off with a petition on the website change.org, garnering more than 100,000 signatures in 3 days, and critics expressing frustration with the hashtag Send the Comfort. And by the way, this is not an important context. The important context is they sent those ships, which they kind of have to do, even to secure the ports that the Navy has there, but they needed a hospital ship. And they didn't think to do it, or Trump insisted they don't until there was a backlash. Since then, the call for the Comfort has come to symbolize something larger, a call for the Pentagon to send more food, more water, more generators, more aircraft, more everything. Trump described the U.S. government response in the devastation in glowing terms Tuesday, saying officials were doing a really good job, fantastic job. He plans to visit next week once it is no longer a disruption to first responders. It's very tough because it's an island. In Texas, we could ship the trucks right out there, and we've got A+ in Texas and on Florida. We will also on Puerto Rico, but the difference is this is an island sitting in the middle of an ocean, but it's a big ocean. It's a very big ocean. We don't even know where it is. No one has a map. The Navy's really not, comfortable with this whole boat thing. This is just fucking gross. So the idea that Puerto Ricans, if any Puerto Rican, even before this, came up and gave him a hug and a kiss, I would like to interview that person.
I sent it to Puerto Rico fully equipped. It took care of things. I mean, they love me in Puerto Rico, and I love them. I was there handing out.
I am their sovereign. I love them. Pull.
Food. I got in trouble
This dude is a fucking Mel Brooks
for
character.
that too, because we were having fun. We had a lot of people, and I was throwing paper towels to the back. They were all having fun. Everybody, and the fake came. Oh, that was very.
2,935 people dead. Longest power outages in the nation's history. It was a party. I was throwing paper towels. We were just fucking around. I was fucking around, man.
Disrespectful to be throwing towels. No, I have unbelievable good relationship with Puerto Rico and the Puerto Rican people. Who this comedian was, I have no idea.
You wish he wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a big deal or not, but
Find the fuck out. It's your goddamn rally. I don't know why. Fuck.
I don't want anybody making nasty jokes or stupid jokes.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have been there, yeah.
How do you know it was a nasty joke or a stupid joke? You don't even know what the joke was. Maybe you would have thought it was funny. I guarantee Don Jr. did. I guarantee Barron thought it was hilarious. I guarantee Elon Musk laughed.
Let me ask this. It seems to, as we come down, as just an American citizen, I've never been more concerned about the country.
Right. As an American citizen who has over $100 million net worth, I've never been more concerned about my tax burden than I am right now.
The state of the world, especially we got war in Europe.
Really? Really, motherfucker?
We got war in the Middle East. We have.
By the way, needle drop that at any time.
Have a presidential candidate that talks about mandatory gun buybacks and no fracking and no drilling.
It talks actually about confiscation of your guns.
That's correct.
No.
Not a buyback.
That's what it is.
They're going to confiscate your guns.
Okay.
Well, if you have machine guns, yeah, that's still the law.
If she wins, they will confiscate your guns.
No, they won't. That's what you said about Obama. That's what you said about fucking Biden.
And the new Green Deal, $93 trillion.
The new Green Deal? You mean the Green New Deal?
Eliminate the filibuster, eliminate private health insurance, sex change operations, and amnesty for illegals, all of this.
Well, yeah, but you can't expect the private healthcare industry to pay for sex change operations. Obviously, that's something you want done by a state employee. Former DMV, I think. Give them a scalpel and let them do it.
It didn't get covered by the press. However.
Also, I don't know why this is choppy. This is from RAV's feed, I think.
At the end of the day, if you win, this is going to be about the borders, energy,
Going to be
the economy,
going to be about
law and order,
healthcare,
safety, security.
It's going to be about healthcare, taking care of people. It's going to be.
Jesus Christ! It might as well be like in a cage with an old lion, and you're like, you know, you can't drop your guard with the old ones because they can still bite like a motherfucker, you know. So you're gonna get one foot up, second foot, sit back, eat the treat, roar. Like, that's what this is.
About things other than what you would typically think coming from me. We're going to take care of our borders. And
what grabbing women by the pussy and lying about sexual assault and affairs and paying off porn stars and playmates and shit like that?
Immediately, day one. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We have more liquid gold than anybody else, including Saudi Arabia.
Bigger than last time.
Yeah, but sunlight happens everywhere. If you could capture that, you wouldn't have to do any drilling at all. So,
because you made us energy independent for the first time.
No, he didn't. No, he did not. The Obama natural gas transition did that.
We're energy independent. We would have been energy dominant. I'll tell you, Anwar in Alaska, I got it approved. Reagan couldn't do it. This is the biggest find.
You didn't get it approved because it didn't happen. If you got it approved, it would have happened in the beginning of your presidency, and they would have already started doing it. They didn't. Literally, one of the reasons why Biden got elected was because you were going to drill in Anwar. That was the public's reaction.
Anywhere in the world, it's the size of Saudi Arabia. Some people say it might even be bigger. Think of it, Saudi.
Yeah. And some people say if we could just throw a bit in the mouth of every fairy on the planet, they could shake the apples out of the trees, and everyone could just open their mouths and manna from heaven would pour in.
In our country, Alaska, they were already, I got it approved. They got everything done. Biden comes in.
No, he didn't.
Comes in. The first thing he does is end it. We would have been supplying oil and gas to China, to all of Asia. It's Alaska. To Japan. It would have been unbelievable. We would have been paying down debt. He comes in and he rejects.
Yeah, look how well nationalizing the oil and selling it worked for Venezuela.
It because the environmentalists
Does this motherfucker ever read anything about the resource curse?
reject it. It has nothing to do with the environment. It's good for the environment.
When you say energy dominant,
Yeah, agreed. I think we can all agree that more oil and gas and coal is good for the environment.
would you be able to ratchet up production?
Yeah, totally. He'd totally get a ratchet and get at that thing.
Natural gas, oil, coal.
Very quickly.
Where we could.
How? How, motherfucker? How? Because there's only two ways I can think of. You either subsidize it because it's going to lower the price, so you got to pay them to make more gas and oil available, and that lowers the value of what they're making. So the only legitimate reason they can do that is the government subsidizes it, so the taxpayer doesn't pay at the pump; they pay it, from their taxes, or you buy them out. You put a gun to their head. You force them to do it by regulation and by buying up the companies. Yeah, good Lord.
Provide all the energy needs to, say, Western Europe?
Yeah.
And that means Vladimir Putin would be cut off?
We would have taken over Western Europe. Oil.
Yeah, that was our goal. Yeah.
Prices will.
Hey, asshole, real quick. I know you're busy doing cleanup about being racist at your weird little Nazi gathering at Madison Square Garden. I would not follow up your Nazi Madison Square Garden racist fest with "we would have taken over Western Europe." It's a little on the nose.
Go down, and Vladimir Putin wouldn't be able to prosecute the war. Look, when they came in, they screwed up my energy program, and the prices went through the roof.
What was your energy program? The whole world grinding to a halt because of COVID? Oil and gas went through the roof because the world started up again after being completely shut down. That's why. Oil and gas was at a premium. There were so many people died. There weren't enough people to work at refineries. There was a slow process of it. That's why the cost of oil and gas went up. You couldn't even get it out of the ground if you wanted to.
And Putin went in. If I were president, that would have, number one, we wouldn't have had inflation. Oil wouldn't have gone up like it did. But
hold on. We don't have a recovery without inflation. We don't. Seriously, there is no recovery from COVID without inflation. If you have deflation after something like COVID, you're fucked.
got close to $100 a barrel.
Whoops. We got close to $100 a barrel is what he's saying.
He made a lot of money during the war. $50 a barrel. He wouldn't have even thought about doing it. Biden forced him.
Well, he was fighting in the Donbass the entire fucking time. The plan was always there. They had been building a war chest even if oil prices hadn't gone that way for a decade.
He said,
which includes, if I'm not mistaken, all 4 years of your presidency, where you looked the other way and limited the supply of arms to Zelensky in any way you fucking could. Even the delays themselves helped set this shit up.
He said, we're going to raise the price of oil. Oil went up to $100, almost $100 a barrel. Would have gone up even more. You know what they did? They went back to my policy and got it down.
All right, again. Well, then, if they can have your policy, but we don't have to have you being a piece of shit, then what are we worried about? Hey, congratulations. If you like Trump's oil and gas policy, you get that with Harris. But you don't have to worry about her grabbing your daughter by the pussy. How about that? Or denying them their rights. How about this? You can have women's rights and be oil and oil and gas, energy independent and dominant. So fucking stupid. Hold on. Let's see what that. Cash is down, drip is down. What's the where is this? Pricing and performance. Where is this? Hold on. I'm looking up oil prices right there. Here you go. Let's just look at this. Technopedia's oil price forecast for 2024 to 2030. Will oil prices fall in 2025? Short answer, yes. Since reaching multi-year highs in 2022 following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in late February, oil prices have gradually retreated. Slow economic growth with looming recession due to central banks' aggressive interest rate hikes to tame decades-high inflation has capped oil prices in 2023. Crude oil prices dropped by more than 10%, essentially erasing their previous gains. As 2024 progressed, oil prices faced another year of volatility, uncertainty over whether the U.S. Fed would initiate its rate cutting. We get that. Oil prices, okay. Predictions. On this one, okay, OPEC plus output policy key factors, wars, Hamas, Israel, Brent crude forecast range for 2024 is $72, WTI 68. 2025, Brent 70 to 78, pretty broad, but they're expecting it to go down, and 65 to 75 for WTI. That would be the fluctuation point. 2026, 2030, Brent 65, WTI 60. The break-even price for Russia to produce oil is $55. They have to be able to sell it for $5 more than that to make any kind of profit, and even that is fucking hair's breadth. You can't expand with that. That's break-even. That's not new drilling. That's not new equipment. That's just what it costs to get it out of the fucking ground is $55 a barrel. It's going to be 60, 2026 to 2030. They're fucked. Oil prices in 2023. Okay, calm after the storm. This is an older article, too. I have told you, and I will stand by this, there is going to be an oil glut next year, mainly because of China's lack of growth and collapsing economy.
A little bit, but only a little bit because it wasn't really my policy. Right now, we would have 3 to 4 times more than what we're doing. But if they didn't go back to my policy.
If we had 3 to 4 times more than what we were doing, one of two things would happen. OPEC and other countries would drop production to nearly nothing to maintain price for themselves, and they would get more money to sell less oil. We would be producing a shit ton of it, just pouring it into the market at a low price just to get it out there, because it's a new commodity for us in that regard. Out of elastic, so we'd be selling it on the cheap for a long time while they just drove the price up by squeezing it over time to get it back to a manageable number. It would be a pricing war. OPEC would basically shut off the tap to try and drive up the price. That's it.
You would have been paying literally $20 a gallon for gasoline for your car. They want to get rid of all gas. I will end that immediately.
Yeah, no. As a matter of fact, when we use more renewables, when most cars run on electricity and cars are still out there, the cost of the value of gas goes through the fucking floor.
By the way, you're going to be able to get a gas-powered car. You're going to be able to get a hybrid. You're going to be able to get an electric car. But they want
the freedom, the choice to buy what you want.
They want to force another.
That's it. So that's the tail end of that piece. And look at that, right on time, ladies and gentlemen. Nailed. I got on early, stuck the landing at fucking 5 o'clock